Hello friends, good morning and welcome to our next lecture which is related to economics. I have started chapter number 1 and in that chapter I have completed some related topics from the chapter number 1 and now today I am discussing chapter number 1 related 1.6 demographic condition. I started the economic study about our Indian economic study which has related to before independence. In this chapter, this one only we are discussing. So in this, we have started the demographic condition. We have already completed few points and in that we have started this 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 and there's all points. So 1.5 till 1.5 we have completed. Okay, till 1.5 we have completed and sorry, till 1 point, I will check again which number we have completed. Sorry, 1.4 we have completed. Now we are discussing about the 1.5. What is the 1.5? In the 1.5 we will discuss about our Indian all capital formation and foreign trade. But before that I want to discuss about this 1.4 related some summary which is remaining. You know friends, that time also we have this three sectors of the economy. Do you know three sectors of the economy? The three sectors of the economy are, first one is agriculture sector, industry sector, service sector. We have these three economic sector. In India, first one economic sector, first one played by the agriculture sector. Before independence as well as now at present condition also. Mostly peoples are involved in the agriculture sector because of India is a rural country and high populated. There's rural areas, mostly high population, high portion of India's population living in the rural area. And their main occupation is agriculture sector. Second one sector is the industrial sector. I'm discussing about the before independence. What was the condition of the before independence for the agriculture sector? That time, famous handicraft industries and before Britishers, when Britishers not came before that ancient time period, Indian handicraft, Indian all artisans, Indian art, and there's all systematically Indian things which mostly popular in the other state also, in the other countries also. So during the Britishers colony, when Britishers started their rule in India, during that time they started exploitation of our all Indian handicraft, all our Indian handicraft industries and their own Indian art. This all declined because of whatever things produced by our Indians, they purchased by the Britishers by very low prices and exploit our Indian art and handicraft. And these things they sold to other foreign countries by fourfold prices. That means produced by Indians, but these things hand over and transferred to other foreign countries by high prices. This type of exploitation has done by our Indians. This type of exploitation done by the Britishers and exploited our Indian farmers, Indian artisans, Indian handicraft. This all exploited. So there's Indian all artisans, handicraft industries exploited by the Britishers, and our Indian all artisans and all our Indian handicraft and Indian idols, producers, this all exploited by the Britishers. India was the primary motive of the colonial government. Behind this policy of the systematically deindustrializing India was twofold. The intention was first to reduce India to the status of mere exporter of importer raw materials for the upcoming modern industries in the Britain, and second, to turn India into a exploring market for the finished products of those industries, so that their their continued expansion could be. That means what? When they in our India, when the Britishers came, they started a policy. According to that, their policy, whatever commodities our Indian produced, this have high cost because of they have traditional tools and there's all things. So they have produced this commodity by the high prices, and other taxes also applied by the British colonies. So it has expensive first thing. Then after, what is the second thing? All type of raw material. So there's a what is the policy of the Britishers? Britishers want to exploitation of the our Indians. So they started two policies. By the first policy, by the very late prices, by very low prices, they started to purchase all type of things, all type of raw material from Indians by very low prices. And this raw material they exported to Britain for getting maximum satisfaction. And by this cheaper price raw material, they produced finished good by their modern machines and tools. And this ready commodity again they exported to India. So India sold that commodity, okay, by very low prices, which has in the raw material. By that raw material, they produced a finished good, and this commodity they sold to again India by very high prices. And these British colonies, Britishers pressurized to purchase this commodity, only this type of commodity which produced by the England. So Indian exploited by two ways. First, they sold their commodity by very cheaper prices, and manufactured good which manufactured in Britain, that good sold in the India. So during the second half of the 19th century, modern industry began to take root in India, but its progress remained very slow. Initially, this development was confined to the setting up of cotton and jute textile mills. Because of, in our India, this cotton and jute can easily produce because of the monsoon and this soil, and this all are favorable to produce the weather, and these all things are very favorable to produce and cropping for the cotton and jute. So this type of crops produced in India and this purchased by the Britishers. Then after in the during the second half of the 19th century, modern industries began to take root in India, but its progress remained very slow. Initially, this development was confined to the setting up of cotton and jute textile mills. The cotton textile mills, mainly dominated by India's, were located in the western part of the country, like Maharashtra and Gujarat. And while the jute mills dominated by the foreigners were mainly concentrated in the Bengal. Why? Because of it has the under the Britishers' hand. Okay, hampering work has under them. So jute industries developed in the Bengal, and there's textile and all cotton mills mainly dominated in India were located in the western parts of the country, like Maharashtra and Gujarat. 8% also in Surat, and in the Maharashtra and the Mumbai, these industries are located. Okay. Second one thing is, sorry. Second one thing is, iron and steel industries began coming up in the beginning of the 20th century. The Tata Iron and Steel Company, its short name is TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company. What is the full form of TISCO? Tata Iron and Steel Company. Was incorporated in 1907. A few other industries in the fields of sugar, cement, paper, etc. came up after the Second World War. Do you know Second World War? It has in your 10th standard also. So there was hardly any capital goods industry to help promote further industrialization in India. Capital goods industry means industries which can produce machine tools which are in turn used for producing articles for current consumption. These are known as capital good industry. What do you mean by the capital good industry? Capital good industries are those industries which can produce, you can highlight it. So it is the answer for this. What do you mean by the capital industry? Capital industry means industries which can produce machine tools which are the term used for producing articles for cement consumption, for current consumption. Current consumption, that means what? I'm using now this laptop, so it is current consumption. If you are using ball pen, that is capital goods industry, means industry which can produce machine tools, laptop and ball pen. These are not current, these are not capital goods. Maybe laptop can be capital good, but ball pen is not capital good because of capital goods. That means capital goods industries are which industry can produce machine tools, okay, which are producing the machine tools to turn used for producing articles for current consumption. These are producing the tool, वो मशीन जो दूसरी मशीन के टूल्स का प्रोडक्शन कर रही है, these are capital good industry. और वो मशीन की टूल, this machine tool will be used for the consumption commodities, for the current needy commodities, okay, but these are machine tools. So capital goods industry means industries which can produce machine tools which are in turn used for producing articles are for current consumption. Consumption, that means use of that good. If I'm using the laptop, that is consumption, okay. The establishment of a few manufacturing units here and there was no substitute to the near wholesale, okay, displacement of the country's traditional handicraft industries. Furthermore, the growth rate of new industrial sector and its contribution to the gross domestic product. What do you mean by the gross domestic product? GDP. Gross domestic product. What do you mean by the GDP? GDP, that means total production of goods in a country, okay. Total production of goods in a country, it is known as gross domestic product. Its full detail you will learn and you will study in the 12th standard, okay. So now at present I will not discuss in detail about the gross domestic product. Remains very small. Another significant drawback of the new industrial sector was the very limited area of operation of the public sector. This sector remained confined only to the railway, power generation, communication, ports, and some other departmental undertakings. So this type of services started by the foreigners, Britishers. Now we are discussing about 1.5, that is the foreign trade. What do you mean by the foreign trade? All type of trade import and export of a commodity. Okay, all type of goods and services which import or export out of geographical boundary of a country, it is known as foreign trade. Okay, import and export both are here. What do you mean by the foreign trade? Foreign trade, that means sell and purchase. Sell and purchase tangible and intangible goods out of geographical boundary of a country. It is known as foreign trade. It is one sentence answer. It is for 1 mark. India has been an important trading nation since ancient times, but the respective policies of commodity production, trade, and tariff pursued by the colonial government advertisement adversely affected the structure, composition, and volume of India's foreign trade constantly. What do you mean by the volume? Volume, that means quantity. How many quantity of a commodity we are exporting to the other country, and how many quantity of a commodity we are importing from the other country. It is the volume of the foreign trade. If this type of volume we are studying about the India's foreign trade, then we will say volume of the India's foreign trade. Okay. So India become an exporter of primary product. Primary product, that means what? Raw material like raw silk, cotton, wood, sugar, indigo, jute. These all are what? These all are primary product which can be used to produce another ready commodities. Okay. And an importer of finished consumer good like cotton, silk, and woolen cotton cloths, and capital goods like light machinery produced in the factories of the Britain. So you have to learn this one. What type of commodities India exported and imported from the Britain. Okay. For all practical purpose, Britain mentioned a monopoly control over India's export because of our Indian foreign market has under the Britishers. Due to that reason, all type of things under the control of the Britishers. Next one is as a result, more than half of the India's foreign trade was restricted to Britain, while the rest was allowed with a few other countries like China and Sri Lanka. That time its name has Ceylon. Okay, Ceylon. Now at present it is Sri Lanka and Persia. That means Iran. The opening of the Suez Canal. Which canal? Suez Canal. Further intensified Britain colonial control over India's foreign trade. Okay. Because of our Indian all policy ruled by the Britishers, so he has ruled. British has ruled to our foreign trade also. The most important characteristic of India's foreign trade throughout the colonial period was the generation of a large export surplus, but this surplus came at a huge cost to the country's economy. Several essential commodities like food, grains, clothes, and all other things like kerosene, etc., become conspicuous by their acute scarcity in the domestic market, because these commodities we can import from the other country like Persia and from there. Now at present it is Iran. Okay. Furthermore, this export surplus did not result in any flow of gold or silver into India. Rather, this was used to make payment for the expenses, that means what? Which we are paymenting to any other. Suppose our India payment $1 crore. $1 million, then it is what? It is expense, which commodity we imported. For that, whatever we are giving to other country, that is the expenditure of our India. So this type of payment has done by India, incurred by an office set up by the colonial government in Britain. Expenses on war. This all expenses actually done by the Britishers, but who has paid in the last? India. Okay, so expenses on war, again fought by the British government, and the import of Indian and import of the all type of invisible items, all the which led to the drain of Indian wealth. If we will import these all things from the Britain, that for that whatever we will pay, that means our Indian wealth will be drained to the Britain, drain of Indian wealth. Okay, these are not essential for all us. Instead of that, because of the pressure of the Britain, these commodities imported from India to Britain to India and sold in India by higher prices and pressurized to Indians to purchase that commodity which is produced by the Britain only. So our Indian wealth has drained to the other nation like first Britain. Next one is demographic condition. What was the demographic condition? Demographic condition, that means population. Demographic condition is related to population. Various details about the population of British India were first controlled through a census in 1881. Through suffering from certain limitations, it elevated the universes in India's population growth. Population growth, that means by which rate population is increasing. Okay, by which rate population is increasing. And every 10 years, such census operations were carried out. You know our Indian population calculated during full out of the one decade, but it has mentioned in the last of the decade, or you can say in the first of the next century. That means in the 1901, if population has calculated, then in the 19011 it will be calculated again. Then 1921, 1931, like that. So this type of population will be, and for the next further year also it will be calculated. Okay. Now next one, the second stage of the transition began after 1921, because of in the 1921 first time population has in the negative growth rate. Further, all other time period has in positive. Only in the decade 1921 it has the negative growth rate, minus 3%. Okay. However, neither the total population of India nor the rate of the population growth rate is stage was very high. I said that only 1921 it has in negative. Further, there's all other year it has the positive, and it has growth rate of the population has increased year by year, and now at present also it is increasing by 2%. Growth rate of the population is a 2%. Further, it is also increasing very well. So the various social development indicators were also not quite encouraging. The overall literacy level was less than 16%. Out of this, the female literacy level also very less. It is negligible, low of the about 7% only. 7% before independence. We are discussing about before independence. Okay, so public health facilities were either unavailable to large because of a large portion of the total population has no proper health facilities, highly inadequate. Consequently, you can say consecutively water and airborne diseases were rampant. That took a huge toll on life. So mortality rate also very high before independence. I'm discussing about before independence. You remember this thing. What do you mean by the mortality rate? Mortality rate means before completing 1 year, how many people die out of 1,000. It's known as mortality rate. Because of these are living in the very slum area. They have not proper house facilities. They have not proper drainage system. They have not proper health facilities and child marrying. Due to these all reasons, mortality rate has very high and population has increased very fast. And particularly the infant mortality rate was quite alarming, about 218 per thousand, in contrast to the percent infant mortality rate of 63%, 63 per thousand. Life expectancy was also very low, 32 years in constant. You have to remember this infant mortality rate, life expectancy, because of 1 mark question will be ready from here only. Okay, so in the absence of the reliable data, in the difficulty to specify the exact extent of poverty at that time, but there is no doubt that time poverty has also very high. Okay, at that time our India's condition has very worried, too much worried condition is there. Next one, topic 1.7 topic we will discuss in the next lecture, in the next video. I hope you got it. You revise, friends, and revise properly. You will get answers and you will understand. Instead of that, if you have any query, you can personally message me. Thank you. We'll meet again in the next lecture. Be safe, be happy. Thank you.